we've almost hit this plateau, but it almost seems like it's continuing to grow as we bring in more celebrities that are Western curious.
Makes me jealous and envious, right?
This generation, absolutely.
Because of the growth and stuff, is so great.
We're really able to build these team cultures in a quick time in a sport that had never really had that.
Rodeo time. Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. Last episode, we have the CEO and the head coach of the Austin Gamblers, Michael Gaffney, JJ Gottsch. Thank you guys again for sticking around so we can get this second part. And when we closed out last episode, we were talking about Western Curious, JJ, and you hit the nail on the head. And I attribute a lot of that to obviously what we've done in the sport to grow it, but Yellowstone.
Everyone's forgotten who runs this valley. Time to remind them.
How much, when Yellowstone hit the airwaves, how much that has just exploded our culture.
Yeah, and like we talked about, it's not just that one show. It's everything that Taylor's created and then all the synergies around that. And so it's, as opposed to that cyclical kind of Western culture kind of going in and out of favor, we've almost hit this plateau, but it almost seems like it's continuing to grow as we bring in more celebrities that are Western curious, more fans that are Western curious, more brands and properties, big companies trying to figure out how do we latch onto this Western space in an authentic way. And so, I think PBR teams and Western sports in general have been a great benefactor of all of that.
Jose, congratulations on an incredible run and being PBR Camping World Team Series champions. This was your goal back in 2022 when you were the very first pick of PBR teams. It took 3 seasons, but you're here. Talk about the grind to be right here with this group of guys behind you.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank God, my Lord and our Lord, for everything that we got here tonight. All this is amazing. It took a little longer than we expected, but it finally came in a great time. Everything has a right time and the right place to do it. We didn't did so great this season, but we came here and finished. So it's how you finished, not how you started. So I'm very happy with all these guys helping us, all the support, because we needed each other to finish this, to close it out. And everybody did their job. We did a great job here. I'm so proud to be a gambler tonight.
So, Michael, when you first started, the go-rounds at the NFR paying $10,000, $11,000, and, the PBR, where it's jumped up, you see the percentages. Now, the NFR is $33,000, don't get me wrong, it's great money. But what the PBR is paying now compared to what it was back then is a considerable, even more of a jump.
Yeah, and again, makes me jealous and envious, right? This generation,
absolutely.
Because of the growth and stuff, is so great to see, Luke. And again, I said it a minute ago, JJ and I talk about, it seems like it's always one of the first things we speak of is about what the guys are putting in their pocket, right? Mm-hmm. Not only if they take care of it now, and then they, when they're done riding in the arena, they can go on and have another life afterwards if they want to. If they want to be the boss, or if they want to, it gives them that opportunity to do those things. And so, from a guy that came from the start of the PBR in that hotel room that day, and it being a pipe dream, to seeing now what the guys can make, not only in the PBR, but also the rodeo cowboys. Yeah. I mean, because again, that's ultimately where we came from, and that's what we'll always be. So as long as the guys have great opportunities moving forward, I mean, that's what us as founders and coaches, want to see from our guys in the locker room.
Take the beginning of the season versus the final goal last year is the peace I feel and the joy I feel for the team.
Feeling so blessed to be able to doing what I love, riding bulls and helping the team won the world champion.
It was very, very tough, but that makes the taste better, and now we got these world champions.
So it's such a great thing to be a part of, to see the growth in this next evolutionary piece, moving that way, and to watch like this last weekend in Jacksonville, Florida, and see these markets that are sold out. Right. So as long as we must be doing something right, so hopefully we can ride this great wave as long as we can.
Is that the hardest you've ever worked for 84 points?
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and throw degree of difficulty out the window because that was very hard. How big was that, though, to return, not feeling good a week ago, and you're back?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, body feels great. And, mind's sharp, so just keep grinding on.
Why does he always make me laugh, guys? Throw it out the window. Yeah, it was hard. He's honest. Good job, Sadie.
JJ, coming from your baseball background and the team aspect of it, I mean, that was your whole deal. You were team aspect. Baseball is about a team, a unit, to be successful. When you transitioned into bull riding, did you think this is going to be a tough transition for these guys to become a one unit and a team? I
was pretty worried when we got started, but pleasantly surprised in how quickly the guys came together as a team, and we built that team culture. And not just us. Quite honestly, I think you look at the other 9 teams, I think every team has done a really good job of building their own culture, and everybody's is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Some of it is based on who their coach is and kind of taking that attitude. I think if you look at the Rattlers, a lot of that is based off Cody Lambert, right?
What we're doing with the PBR and the teams coming around, that's my vision for it, and my dream for it is that the guys are going to hold themselves more accountable, because if I do really well riding, that affects your children. That affects the other guys on the team and what college their daughter gets to go to or something like that. There's more than just me counting on me. I'm by myself riding, but there's more than just me counting on it. So it's a really cool thing in that way. And then going back to getting to know each other like we used to when we were traveling together. It was a time that I wish that all the young guys can experience, and I think they're going to get an experience that I think we're all going to get an experience like that.
I think if you look at the Florida Freedom and you look at, Paulo, the coach, and John, and their kind of energy is to that. When you look at Carolina and their management and ownership from Richard Childress and Austin Dillon, having a little bit of that swagger. Obviously the Outlaws, that JW's got his thumbprint over that entire organization. So I think every team's done a really good job. And I'm really pleasantly surprised at how not only the Gamblers, but all the teams were really able to build these team cultures in a quick time in a sport that had never really had that.
Well, and it's going to some UTB events before teams ever came around. It seems like you'd go into the locker rooms and you'd see your Brazilian crew, your Australian crew, you'd have a couple groups of guys from the States, and that kind of like their little pack. You take that aspect completely out when you do what we're doing with teams now.
Yeah, and you see that on the back of the chutes like this past weekend. You see those relationships, pulling the bull ropes of your teammates that are your teammates from the team season. And that's just been that fantastic piece that you're talking about, Luke, of the camaraderie that you build in those relationships that they've matured and that's again why to be a part of that and see that from an old guy is great to see, because when you have a locker room of guys that feel each other and really have, I deeply care for this guy, and I've grown. Not that you don't have differences. I mean, there is some different personalities and stuff in there, but at the end of the day, they've really come together and as a cohesiveness that, hey, that's my teammate, and I'm there for you.
Coach Michael Gaffney and the entire Austin Gamblers team. Listen, last year you come to the inaugural team event here in your home city. You let it slip away. No slipping this year. You had some guys rise to the occasion.
And that's what we've got. We've got a group of guys here that are just, we're going to stumble and we're going to fall. All the teams are. But these guys come here every time and they give it their all. This is a brutal sport. I can't express to the fans, how tough this is on these guys to rise up every weekend and give it their all. And these cats, every one of them are ready to come into the game whenever we ask them to and give it 110%. I can't be any more prouder and so fortunate to be the head coach of the Gamblers for the Durbin family, and and JJ, and again our staff it's just such a fabulous family, and I'm very grateful.
JJ, I want to touch on team ownership, and we've seen a couple expansion teams come in, but your guys' team ownership has been behind 100% and doing everything they can to help you guys build a championship team.
Yeah, they've been amazing, and literally everything that Michael and I have asked for, They've given us, it's interesting. Sometimes when people get into team sports ownership, the excitement overcomes them and they want to get more involved in the day-to-day, but our owners haven't. Literally, they get with Michael and I and what do you need to be a championship team? And they've been nothing but supportive in everything that we've done.
This has been, we've talked a lot the past couple seasons. This has been a long time coming finally for the Austin Gamblers, hasn't it?
You know, we won the regular season the first 2 years. We were here, unfortunately lost in this title game last year, and we just made the commitment that when we got to Sunday, we wanted to win this year. We made some big moves in the off season. Biggest one was signing Kaique Pacheco, and we knew that he had that pedigree. He won here the first year, and obviously on Friday night, you know, he kept us alive. And then that got everything started. But these guys, as I said over there, you know, this is a testament to not quitting. We had such an up and down year. These guys could have quit so many times. So many times they could have just thrown in the towel, but they didn't. We just had to get here. We just had to get to Las Vegas, and we knew we had the team once we got here that we could win it. And these guys put it all together when it mattered most.
And they're just a part of a larger group of just great owners in this PBR team concept, which I think, again, is a part of the success of PBR teams. And you look at the different ownership groups around teams, you know, from Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Chefs, to Richard Childress Racing and Teton Ridge and, you know, Taylor Gooch and goes on and on, Mark Lazary in New York, just really, you know, big names in sports and entertainment, successful folks, not just that they're rich, but good strategic partners that are really, you know, creating a better system for all of us so that we're all more professional and really presenting this thing the best way that we can. And so, our ownership has been fantastic. We literally couldn't ask anything more from them. And again, I think if you pull the other 9 GMs and coaches, I would say they probably would tell you the same thing for theirs.
Yeah, and, you know, along with your coaches, you have to have a fan base behind. And, Mike, we talked a little bit about that, how the Gambler logo has a huge impact in the city of Austin now. I mean, people recognize it. They know what it's about, and they're behind it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what, you know, you want to see happen. Because we are, you know, still in our, you know, our infant stages, really, right? You know, this is our 4th season. It's happened so fast, and you know, just a couple of days ago, I just got my T-shirt on with the Gambler logo and at the HEB, and somebody comes up and kind of grabs me behind and says hello, and you know, we've been to the movie center and just big fans. And I got to tell you the story. You know, the very first year, we're walking into the Dickies Arena, and there's about 6 or 7 of these. They were all couples, right? They've been following the PBR for a long time. And man, this was at the World Finals there in May, and they gave me some ribbing about this teams thing that was coming up soon. They weren't happy about it. They're like, "What? Why would you disrupt this?" And this is part, I think, you kind of get down a road where you're comfortable and you're happy.
Yeah.
Why rock the boat, right? So this whole team thing was really, you know, it was rocking the boat. And jumping forward, this was in May, right? And then at the Moody Center, when we have our event at the end of August, we were doing an outside thing at Stubbs Barbecue, and that same crew of about 4 couples showed up, and every one of them had a different jersey on. And one had a Gambler jersey, one had a Rattler jersey, one had a Missouri jersey, and they couldn't get enough of it. So again, to see that from my old eyes, because you know, it was a little upsetting. I said, just give it a chance. I said, it's new for all of us. But there again is just evidence of what some of our traditional PBR rodeo fans were dead set about. You know, what they wanted, and just in a couple of short months, they were all in, and they weren't going to miss one, and they were traveling with us. So it gave me some validity on what we were doing as at the PBR, because again, even though we're not owners any longer, you know, we take great pride in what the PBR is and what it stands for, and where it's come to in such a relatively short time. So it's good to see.
Well, and you said it right there, growth. When people are comfortable, growth is pain. And, you know, we always hear growing pains. And and if we want our sport to grow, we're going to have to take some bumps. We're going to get some lumps. And the pain's going to be there, but the reward at the end. And I feel like you guys have already seen the reward, JJ, just some, you know, from where you started to where you are now. And it's just going to keep going bigger and better.
Yeah, and I think to that point, and really where we are in the city of Austin, it wasn't the first pick for the folks at PBR. There was a couple other cities that they wanted this franchise to go to, but credit to Abby and Egon Durbin, our owners, they said, no, Austin is the market that where we want to be. This is where we want to grow, where we can develop new fans, not only for our own franchise, but for PBR. And you look at what's happened over the last 3 years here in Austin.
Yeah.
Every year, our home event at the Moody Center, Gambler Days, has grown exponentially every year. Same thing as G-Man. As you go around town and you're wearing a hat or whatever, there's more and more people that are noticing it. Where in year one, I'd be going around and people would be like, are you a gambling team? Are you a poker club? And where now people actually know that, yes, we are a professional bull riding team. We compete in PBR teams, and we've been to your event at the Moody Center. And so it's been great to see that, because even though Austin, we're geographically in the middle of the state of Texas, we're the state capital. Austin was not a traditional PBR or Western sports town. I talked to G-Man, a couple of you, and it wasn't the biggest event on the circuit. And so, and the same thing when PBR would come here from time to time. So been really proud to be able to represent PBR and teams. It's great. G-Man lives here. I think we're one of the few PBR teams where the coach and the GM live in the market. So people get to see us and have him represent and talk about the Gamblers in an authentic way on a daily basis. But it's just been neat to see the growth here and how many folks have been coming out to our event and really enjoying it.
It's a little bit heavier, but it's made for bull riding. Kind of lighter deal.
Blake Sharp, Blake Ferguson. Pleasure to meet you. Let's go check out some bulls.
Going down to Fort Lauderdale this last year and having not the whole Miami Dolphin team, but seeing those athletes there that, I think those athletes love the sport, love Western sports, love rodeo, love bull riding, but for them to be able to experience it at that level and get to be in the locker room and see what these guys go through, see that they run their hand, a little bitty rope on a 2,000-pound bull, and just the look in their eyes. In fact, I got to talk to one of them kind of a long time. He's like, this is freaking crazy. All we do is put cleats on and helmet and pads and run out on the field to hit each other. These guys are getting on a bull. And, Michael, that's what I love about our sport is there's a lot of people out there that play professional sports, as in football, baseball, that are huge fans of the Western industry.
Yeah, and I think they have a large respect and mutual respect. The center for the Kansas City Chiefs obviously showed up this past year at the team's event.
I got to interview him. That guy's huge.
And what is he looks like
Creed Humphreys is huge.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's about 12 years old, and he walks up on stage. You saw me. He made me look like a little shrimp, and even you're a big guy, and he towers over you.
Hey, Kansas City Outlaw fans.
Well, and I think even going farther from athletes, you have, like you said, Rip from Yellowstone. And Kid Rock, he's a huge fan of the sport. He's having the Kid Rock's Rockin' Rodeo in conjunction with the World Finals. And you can keep going down the list of A-listers, JJ. And obviously that is just huge for our sport.
Well, and I think that, the big term that you hear right now, Luke, is Western curious.
Yep.
You've got general citizens that are Western curious. You've got celebrities that are Western curious. And I think that we're all able to take advantage of it, and to where through all of our lives, as you guys are riding, competing, you were always in the West, but, for general society, there was kind of always these hills and valleys of when country music was on top and then it wasn't. But now we've kind of hit this plateau and it hasn't gone down at all. And right. I think it's even increasing a little bit more. And I think it's here to stay for a while.
Just believe it and go enjoy the belief in yourself. And calm. You guys deserve this.
1, 2, 3, Gamblers!
So for us, in the Western sports business, specifically PBR, with this team concept that really, it's a lot easier to consume than just a regular rodeo event or a regular PBR event. When you look at kids today and the whole thing of 8 seconds and swipe, 8 seconds and swipe, that's what our sport is.
Yeah,
it's 8 seconds wreck, 8 seconds wreck. Even when a guy rides, there's going to be a wreck at the end. And so, that wasn't why this sport was developed, a couple hundred years ago, but it's crazy that the timing right now of people being Western curious and the team's concept being easier to consume and just the nature of our sport. I think it's just a great time to be where we are right now.
Ooh! All right, here's some rapid fire questions. Biggest positive change in rodeo and bull riding?
I'd say the PBR.
I'd say PBR teams.
The rankest bull?
Bushwhacker would probably come to mind right away.
From the limited time watching growing up and talking to G-Man a little bit, I'd have to say Bodacious.
Favorite rodeo announcer?
Bob Tallman, when you heard that voice, it just rang out to, and Hadley Barrett was another one that just, I think of those two guys.
I was going to say my boy CA, Clint Atkins.
All right, stay tuned. We got more Luke Branquinho show coming up. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hey, you want to see more in-depth details on the Luke Branquinho show? Make sure you like and subscribe.